We are getting set for a season like none other in the history of Big Ten men's basketball. Danny Sprinkle takes over at Washington and alongside 8 transfers leads the Huskies into the Big Ten. Minnesota starts its 4th season under Ben Johnson. Built some solid momentum last season, trying to build on that in 24-25. And of course, what a year for Matt Painter and the Boilermakers, making a championship game appearance for the first time since 1969. Among those returning, preseason player of the year, Braden Smith. Back here in Rosemont at Big Ten Basketball Media Days presented by TIAA. Rick Pizzo now joined by the head coaches of those teams. Danny Sprinkle, Ben Johnson, and Matt Painter are with us. Danny, I want to catch up with you and how crazy life has been since you took this job. We spoke right after you took this job. You were living in a hotel and basically on the road, constantly recruiting. Then I think by the time we talked in the summer, you and the rest of your staff had gotten kind of a frat house type deal together where you all lived together and were working. Has everybody settled in now with families in town?
We have. We actually all, me, my assistants, all found new places to stay. But we called it the frat house. We got the job. We were in the hotel for about 7 days. And then a good friend of mine, Will Dissly, who actually played for the Seahawks and was a UW alum, now he's with the Chargers. He had his house there. So he was kind enough to let us stay there for a couple months until we got settled. But it took about 3 months.
I'm guessing you treated it a little bit better, kept it a little bit cleaner than the actual frat houses on campus?
We did. There wasn't too many parties. There wasn't nothing. There actually wasn't any. And,
just to be clear.
Exactly. But you do have Tony Bland waking up at 5:30 a.m. talking, being loud on the phone, but it was great.
Matt, it was something of a party for you and your program, obviously, to reach the national title game. Came up 1 win short of the ultimate, but it had been so long for Purdue fans in this program to get there. What was the offseason and the summer like for you and your guys to be able to celebrate that a little with also getting ready for this coming year?
Well, I think the biggest piece was just not being in the portal. You know, for us, we didn't have anybody leave to where we had to go into the portal. And so after you know what people go through, especially somebody like Danny, when you take over a job and what that entails and the time that then you have to segue through the spring portal into recruiting in the summer. And you never stop. Like, he hasn't come up for air, and that's just different than where you are when you're going into your 20th season. And now we're able to develop. Now we're able to know the guys on our team. We're not trying to get adjusted outside of our freshmen that are brand new. So we had a great summer, just trying to stay on edge and be better next year.
For those who followed Purdue basketball, Big Ten basketball, college basketball as a whole, one of the great parts of that run to the Final Four was seeing Coach Katie there, enjoying it. We know he had a recent health scare. What can you tell us? Have you spoken with him lately?
Yeah, he's great. He's great. He just had a little bit like a mini stroke, and he popped right out of it and wanted to know who's winning the USC-Michigan football game. So, and he had the teams right. But no, he's great. He's going to try to get by to a practice next week.
That's great to hear. Ben, we got to watch your team take some serious steps last year. I know for you and your staff, it was probably really enjoyable to be able to watch a year where you didn't have to battle through so many injuries and key guys were actually able to play the minutes that you wanted them to play. How do you assess the growth that you saw from your team last season?
No, definitely. I think we took the necessary steps that we needed to in our 3rd year. Not only just non-conference wise and handling business, but also in conference by getting 9 wins. You look at the history of our program. I think since 1990, we've won 10 games twice in that time period. And so for us to get 9 last year, hopefully builds confidence to our guys. And like everybody else, we want to keep the momentum going. And now we've established kind of a winning mentality and a winning culture, and we got to find ways to build on that.
What are the ways to build on that?
Yeah, I think it's just it's viewing yourself as just that. As crazy as that sounds, every day winning habits. Like, what does that look like? And now they know, and there's expectation, and we have returners that are back that went through that and knew the work that put into winning 19 games in postseason, winning 9 games in a really tough league, so they can be role models for the new guys about what it takes every day to be a total winner.
Matt, the challenge for your team is a little bit different, the challenge of following up that kind of run. What kind of conversation have you had with the guys? Have the guys had amongst themselves about that particular challenge?
Yeah, obviously, trying to win 3 Big Ten championships in a row and just keep that carrot in front of us. But, we have 3 starters back from a Final Four team. We have 5 freshmen. We have a lot of guys with experience outside of those 3 starters. So just blending in those 5 freshmen more than anything, just understanding what we do and how we do it. It takes a little bit of time. But no, we're excited about it. We're excited about this group, but we also know that, it's going to be very hard. And that's the one thing when you play a challenging schedule like we have, you know, in non-conference, that you got to get yourself prepared, because it is such a bear when you get to Big Ten play.
Danny, the job is still fairly new. The roster's new. The conference is new for Washington. For a coaching staff, what's the biggest challenge in getting guys ready for opening day when everything seems so new?
Yeah, I think organizing everything in the program, getting them ready, you know, from the, like they talked about, the daily habits, how we compete, how you have to compete, and the physicality of the Big Ten, you know, from the weight room to the nutrition to, you know, I mean, every single thing that you do that day impacts that first game that you're going to have to play. And so getting my staff, who a lot of them are brand new, getting them organized into how I operate and how I want our program to operate on a daily basis, and then for that to trickle down to the strength coach, to the nutritionist, to the whole team, is probably the most important thing.
How do you want to set and sell the expectations to your players so they know what is expected of them from the jump?
Yeah, I mean, we have our non-negotiables every day in practice. And, you know, I mean, me and my staff, we have to be relentless on those, from effort to energy to being a great teammate, to being physical in every drill. And, you know, it trickles down to their daily life, but that's just something we have to be relentless on.
Ben, when you look about and you see Danny's team, the three other West Coast additions, obviously Danny's had nothing but success at the places that he's coached. Eric Musselman's been everywhere. Mick Cronin, Dana Altman, long-time success. How much tougher does that make a trip around this league?
Yeah, no, definitely didn't do us any favors, you know, when we added these programs. But, you know, if you're a competitor, you want to be in the best league possible. And I think top to bottom, you know, we're definitely in that. And so it's getting your team to understand the urgency that you have to have now. You know, it's going to be more of a grind probably than ever. You had a little bit of different travel now, but the excitement of adding, you know, these 4 programs, I think, heightens the competition for everybody. And so, you know, we're looking forward to it.
Matt, it's obviously a challenge, but also a great opportunity. As you mentioned, the potential to win 3 straight regular season titles. What do you think it will be like to get through this 18-game schedule when you add in the travel, you add in the new teams and everything that basically every program, not just yours, is trying to figure out?
I think more than anything, you have to have enough pieces, but you also have to be a little bit lucky. You know, you have to stay healthy. You got to get a break. Hopefully you can make your own breaks, but you got to be able to get a break. And right now, the way the schedule goes, like we all look at it, and there's a grind somewhere to where you're playing 5 or 6 games in 17 days or something crazy where you don't have a day off. We have a stretch for 2.5 weeks where we don't have a day off in the Big Ten play. Like, how do we come out of that? Like, when you look at it, you're like, you know, do you split that? Do you win it all? Do you lose them all? Like, you really don't know. Like, you have mixed feelings. But, like, when you look at the media and how they rank people and how they look at people, like, I don't know how you would go about it with so much change from the portal to a new job to add in the 4 teams. It's just it's a crapshoot. So it's good that people pick you to win your league, but it really means nothing. If you're there in the first week of March, then it does mean something.
Well, I know something that does mean a lot for you is to have Braden Smith back. He's your preseason player of the year. Fletcher as well in the backcourt. Other pieces, and there's a lot of talk that with Zach gone, what will Purdue do? I know you have a couple of big guys, but it's not as if you haven't been more perimeter-based in the past. The great run with Carson Edwards a few years ago. How different stylistically do you think you look?
Well, he's always had the basketball in his hands, even when Zach was there. So when we play out of the post, we play through ball screens and post up a lot. And so he can really manipulate the defense with his ability to see the court and to be able to pass and to make plays and to make shots. But he's also someone who defers to others at times, and we need him just to be more aggressive. But Fletcher Loyer, same thing, just a winner, knows how to play, tough, hard-nosed, make shots. You know, those guys will have more of a responsibility. And then I think Trey Kaufman-Renn will really step into where he'll be one of the best big guys in our league.
Ben, the players that are here with you obviously will be huge for you this year. They're energy guys. They're kind of mismatch guys in Dawson's case as well. What do you need from those 2 guys specifically this year in terms of both leadership and production?
I think consistency is the big thing, and that's day in and day out. You know, I think obviously a guy like Dawson that's got all the accolades, that's been through it. You know, can you elevate everybody else's play to your level and your standards, and that starts in practice. And then also, can you be almost a coach in the locker room? You know, we got a bunch of new guys. Can you explain and tell them, you know, what this grind is like? You know, Parker Fox, again, a guy that came on the scene after not playing for 2 years, had a really good first year back. You know, can you counter that? Can you be a little bit better? And then I thought Mike Mitchell, You know, a guy that came in and was really productive. You look across the board with just his numbers, you know, can really shoot it. You know, where can you take it? Can you be greedy? Can you take another step? But all those guys have been in our system. And so the leadership standpoint and getting those guys to get everybody else on board and just understand the urgency that you have to have if you want to give yourself a chance every single day.
Folks that just watch Parker for a second are blown away by his energy and the enthusiasm, the kind of spark that he brings. Is his skill set, though, maybe a little bit underrated?
Yeah, I think it is. You know, I think, you know, he's a guy, he's such a thinker. And he really keeps our offense moving. You know, when we're in our flow game, he's a guy that just the music doesn't stop. He's able to get the ball to a second and third side, and that becomes contagious. So just his IQ, his feel, he's crafty. You know, he's also obviously very athletic, and he plays with a ton of energy. But I do think his skill set is a little undervalued, but it's something that we know, you know, really helps us, especially offensively. But then just the urgency that he has, you know, when you're – I think he's 7th year now. You've been around it. He knows this is his last go-round, you know, and that was one thing we tried to do in the portal is like if you can find a bunch of guys where this is their last go-round, the urgency's there every day. You know, it creates a competitive environment.
I love it. 7th year, today's day and age of college sports, right? Danny, the transfer portal, obviously today's day and age of college sports as well. Necessity for you coming into a new program. Great Osobor has great credentials, a guy you know well. Others maybe that you got out of the transfer portal that can help as well are who?
Yeah, you know, I think Tyler Harris, you know, a transfer from University of Portland. He's a 6'8" wing. You know, he can really score the basketball. He can score it. He can shoot it. He can drive it. And he's just kind of a mismatch with his size. Another kid, Makai Mason from Rice, who's a very talented offensive player who we're going to need to be really good. You know, and another kid that's been hurt the last 2 years that Washington had, you know, Frank Kepnang, you know, a big 6'11", you know, shot blocking big, but he's really worked on his offensive game. He didn't practice all summer, but he's really getting rolling now, and I think those three could really help us.
Let's finish here. As you guys do get rolling here and get into practice full-time, get the guys really going, what's Washington's biggest focus before opening night?
Being physical and playing together. You know, when you bring 13 pretty much brand-new players together, everybody's trying to show how good they are, especially the transfers, and now they got to start playing together. They got to play for one another. They got to get teammates a shot, and they got to understand it's not about them. If we want to be successful, we're going to need all 13 of those guys because you need depth in the Big Ten.
Ben, what will be your biggest priorities?
Same thing, you know, getting everybody on the same page, you know, offensively, defensively, understanding your system, getting guys comfortable, kind of developing roles, and then hopefully through competition, people start separating themselves a little bit.
Matt?
For us, it's about the same thing, you know, just in terms of, you know, we have 5 freshmen, so it's a little bit different, just kind of blending those guys in, and the roles that Ben mentioned are so important. But, you know, it's the pillars of basketball, like take care of the basketball and rebound. Like you can go through and talk about a lot of different things, but if you're great at those 2 things, you're going to be pretty successful.
Matt Painter, Ben Johnson, Danny Sprinkle, guys, wish you and your programs the best of luck this coming season. Really appreciate the time here at Media Days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.